Hey there, my golf friends. Welcome back to Above Par. It's Masters Week. This is my favorite week of the year. Definitely Sunday is my favorite day of the year. I love going to the Masters. I love watching the Masters. And I thought I would have a special episode bringing my brother back on, Dudley Hart, who's played in a few Masters, to share what it's like, his experience, his first Masters, some different inside perspective of some of the holes, the par 3 course. And I thought I'd share that all with you here. So without further ado, here is my conversation with my brother, Dudley Hart. All right. Hey, Dudley, how are you?
I'm great, Kath. How about you?
Good. Thank you for coming back on. So I wanted to have you on just to talk because it's Masters Week and I know you've played in the Masters and I thought maybe you could share some of your perspective that when people are watching TV, they might not get that perspective or just hear it from a different angle on what it's like to go through and playing in the Masters. And I can't remember. How many have you played in?
5.
You played in 5?
Yeah.
That's so sad. I was going to say 3. I had like 3 fingers up.
Okay.
That's like 5. Oh, I'm more impressed with you now that you played in 5.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Okay. So I've been to a few of the Masters. Of course, I don't even know that I've been to 5. I think once you got married, that kind of like ruined it for me a little bit, but I was definitely at some when you were single. But I think it would be interesting to hear about what it's like, just your first Masters, let's say, and then maybe how it evolved. What is it like to show up that week and go through that week from your perspective?
Well, my first one was actually was just telling some of the guys on the Florida golf team this couple nights ago because they were asking me about the Masters and what it was like. Do you get nervous? And I said, normally when I played in tournaments, there's always a level of nerves. I don't care what tournament it is. If you care about something, you tend to get a little bit nervous to start out. Usually calm down pretty quick. But my first Masters, it was honestly the tournament I think every boy golfer and now girl golfer can dream about playing, going to Augusta. And we, as kids, I got an 8-footer. This is to win the Masters. This is, or the US Open sometimes, but it was always for me, it usually ended up being the Masters in my brain. And the first year I was fortunate enough to play, I really was really calm, like practice round. Like the first day I walked out and it was just kind of, oh my gosh, I walked out the back of the clubhouse. You pull in off of a very busy, typical street with like Applebee's and Chili's and all this crap. And then all of a sudden there's the entrance to the Augusta. And it's a little sign, there's a guardhouse and it's like just pops up. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of weird. And then I'm driving in with Dad, which was probably one of the coolest things because without him, I would have never got to that point. Mm-hmm. So just he and I driving down Magnolia Lane was super cool for me. And probably the best part of that first one that I played in, being able to share that with him. But it was also like, I had this vision that Magnolia Lane was like 5 miles long and it was like, oh, this beautiful thing. And it was just like, eighth of a mile long. And it was like clubhouse. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, what the heck? But get in there and park and you kind of walk on eggshells. It's a little, it's an amazing place, but it's, you get, and maybe that's me being a club pros kid that I was always so paranoid of doing the wrong thing at other clubs that, so I walked on eggshells a little bit that week, but anyway, I wasn't crazy nervous. I was just, in the practice rounds, I was just kind of doing my thing. This is what I normally do in practice rounds. And I practice and I'm working hard on wedges and I'm doing all this stuff. And Thursday rolls around and wake up a little nervous, but slept fine. No big deal. No, not really thinking like it's any different. I'm trying to treat it like any other tournament. Warm up, go through my warm up routine, go through my wedge routine. After that, go putt. And I had like some chemical reaction happen from the putting green to the first tee that I had never experienced in my whole life. Uh-huh. It was at the time, it was like maybe a 50, 60 yard walk. Now the tee's probably on the putting green practically. And I got to the first tee and my caddy, Woody, looked at me and goes, "You need tees or a ball marker?" And I was like, I can't talk. My mouth like completely dried up. I mean, it was like I had a whole box of Ritz crackers between the putting green and the first tee. And I was like, I water. I'm like, I need water. And
like you walked the Sahara Desert or something going there.
I'd never experienced. I've been nervous, plenty nervous. My first tour event, my rookie year, I was crapping my pants, and but that was nerve. But I did not have this experience. So I'm start drinking water. I'm trying to take a bunch of deep breaths. I don't even remember. I just went into like this fog. And I remember standing there, I got my driver in my hand waiting to get called. And I'm going, okay, let's just not kill somebody on the right. Like just hit off the end of the club. Like I had the most negative thoughts a golfer could possibly have. It was like I'd been playing golf for a year. Like I could kill somebody 20 yards off the tee because they're lining down that edge.
Yeah.
Then fortunately, about when I put the tee in the ground and I walked back to get into my routine, I just said, all right, I picked a spot over the bunker. At the time, that day we could get over the bunker. It was helping. And I'm like, I am just going to lash at this driver. And I picked a tree over this bunker. And I'm just going to hit it as hard and solid as I can. And then hopefully it goes straight. That's all I was saying. I'm like, I'm not going to try to guide it because I know that usually doesn't work. I said, I'm just going to freaking lash at it and hit it solid. I was just swing hard and hit it solid. That was my only thoughts. And
yeah, but that's so helpful. Like too, like you just mentioned, because you had talked about in the last podcast about how important your pre-shot routine was. That probably helped you. Like once you get to go into that pre-shot routine, you kind of click into a little focus.
Yeah, 100%. But I had nothing but negative thought. I mean, like hyper negative thoughts, like it off the toe, and because I can't feel my hands, I'm shaking. I'm putting the ball, I'm teeing the ball up, and the ball and the tee are shaking, and I'm going, okay, what's going on right now? It's like maybe I ate like 20 pounds of sugar on the way from the putting green to the first tee, and I hit it down there. And normally in most normal tournaments, you're nervous a little bit because you're more anxious. You want to get going, and and you settle down after the first shot or the first hole or so. I'm not sure I calmed down I wasn't that nervous all day, but I was never comfortable all day long. Augusta just doesn't, like most tournaments, you can have, there's a few breather holes for you that's set up that okay, this doesn't really stress me out. Like, not that you shut your brain off, you don't try, but it's like, very comfortable with this. I'm going to just, hit a 3-wood down the fairway pretty wide. I'm going to have anywhere from a 9-iron to a wedge to soft green. And okay, this is like, I'll have a good chance here with, no major, that place. It doesn't matter if you have a 90 yard sand wedge. If you hit it 6-8 feet in the wrong spot, something bad could happen quickly. So you never have any kind of time to take a big, deep breath there. So
yeah, I heard Scotty Sheffield have an interview the other day. Some reporter asked him, like, is it physically exhausting to walk the golf course? And I think basically, I don't know if he was leading towards whether Tiger was going to make it or not, right? But he just kept saying, you know what, it's not, but it's mentally exhausting because you just can never let up.
Yeah, it would. After like that first time, I didn't really realize it because I hadn't played in a ton of majors yet. And it's pretty much the same for every major because it's just a different animal. It's like you're mentally playing, not physically playing 2 or 3 tournaments when you play one of them.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people who haven't been through it to really understand it. And it was really hard for Dad when I was younger. Like sometimes he would go, well, why are you taking the week off after it? Because I'm like, because I finally learned that I could go play and I'm physically fine, but my brain is far from, like, it just needs time to just kind of chill and kind of, because if the concentration level isn't there, doesn't matter how good you are physically, you're just never going to play very well. And I learned after.
Right. And then you tap into your confidence when that happens, right? It's like going, when it's a mental thing. Yeah. It's not worth doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So is there any particular hole out there that, like, let's say that for you maybe was like your nemesis hole?
There were a few of them because I typically had a hard time I could always draw it with a driver, but it was never one of my comfortable things because the draw could turn into a 20-yard hook. And I just not really good to play pro golf when you hit 20-yard hooks out of nowhere. So I trained myself for a long time to try not to hit those. And it was just, I was just more comfortable fading it. So there are a bunch of tee shots that are obvious draw shots that people will know from TV, like number 10 with the right wind. I would hit a 3-wood because I could, with more loft, I could cork a 3-wood and get it and still get it running down the hill as long as it wasn't in the wind. 13 was super stressful for me because, I think that first year I played, I tried to force a hook and I sniped it into those trees over to the left and I think I got lucky and it kicked out in the fairway way short. And I just laid up and I said, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So I would try, if it happened, close my stance a little, put the ball, maybe a ball width back. And if it happens to create a little 3 or 4 yard draw because my setup changed, great. If not, I'm corking it in the trees and I'm going to go from there straight to the fairway.
At least you might get a break over there.
Yeah. And maybe once in a while I could hit it on the green. If not, I lay it up and I played it, which is usually my strength anyway, hitting those 50 to 100 yard shots. But one of the ones that was weird that a lot of people probably would never think was number 2.
Mm.
Very, very comfortable tee shot when I could reach the right bunker, because you cannot miss the ball left. I mean, you can get really, and if it gets running down the pine straw, you could actually hit it in a creek that's way over there. And I learned that in the practice round. I corked one trying to force a draw off the bunker to get it running down that hill. And I sniped it over there, and I was playing with Jeff Sluman, and Dad was walking and right next to Jeff when I did it. He asked Jeff, he goes, "What's over in those left trees?" And Slu looked at him and he goes, "It's the Delta Airlines ticket office over there. If you hit it over there, you can book the flight. You're going home."
Oh. That's a good line.
Yeah, so I did like being a cutter. You'd like, okay, just aim it down the left. But then if I hit it straight, it bounced the left half of the fairway angles left or right. Right to left pretty hard.
Yeah.
So you got to hit it really pretty close to that bunker, unless, you happen to, I was never a guy who could ever carry that bunker. I don't know if many guys can carry that bunker anyway, but so it was just an uncomfortable, it's a par 5, but if I would just either hit it just inside the edge of the bunker and try to hit straight, or it would hit peel a little bit and go in the bunker and I'd lay it up. That was kind of one of the things. And that was actually one of the even more than 13 or 10, because you really, really just had to kind of man up and try to hit a straight one or a little draw there. And it was just a hard tee shot for a fader.
Right. And even visually, it's kind of hard to pick your spot.
I personally don't love aiming at areas where if I hit it straight, it's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So those would be like your big nemesis holes. Is there like a couple holes that you totally love the whole setup? I mean, I know the course is like everybody knows all the holes, but just curious from your perspective.
Yeah, I always love 7. It's pretty straight, but it's tight. But you could hit a good tee shot and have a wedge of the green is psychotic, like a lot of them out there. I mean, so it's not an easy shorter hole. It's longer now, but it's still not that long for those guys. I would say that one, obviously 12, just because it's so famous, but major pucker up on number 12. I mean, it's
oh my God.
It's just crazy, because I was telling the guys same thing as we were talking about the Masters. Like, you stand on the 12th tee and you look at the 11th green to kind of get a gauge of the wind, and the pin could be blowing down right to left, and then you look at the pin on number 12 and it's blowing in left to right, and they are 40 yards apart. The two greens, 50 yard. What? It's not that far apart, and you're like, how in the hell is one flag going back? Because it's just in this corner of trees and the wind swirls.
Yeah, I think that was
not normally a big problem, but when the 12th green is like, 12 steps deep.
Yeah.
And if you zing one in the back bunker is not great, and obviously the creek's not great, it can be stressful going, okay, I hope I'm guessing right on the wind. And then I hit a shot and do all that. So
I think I remember last year, I think there were like so many people hitting into that shot, and they were like totally misjudging the distance. And it was because that wind was swirling.
If you're planning for a little in left to right, and all of a sudden it's helping a little left to right, and you carry it 5 or 6 yards too far to a green that's that narrow, you look really stupid, and you hit it in a spot that's not great. That's why a lot of guys will say any pin that's at that bunker, middle bunker on the front middle bunker on the green, they just hit it or there or at to the right, like the Sunday pin. You just try to hit it at that bunker, because at least you should not make a big mistake to not carry into that bunker if you get fooled. You hit it on that line. Granted, it's 20, 25 feet left of the pin, but if you're not sure what the wind's doing, that's kind of the no-brainer. The problem is that we have, just like amateurs have, sometimes you get there and you're like, well, I'm aiming at that bunker, but maybe I can just peel it over there a little closer towards the pin. And then you kind of push it there and you get fooled, and it lands 2 yards short of the green at the pin, and it comes back in the water.
Right. Because what are you hitting into there? What were you hitting into there?
Typically 8-9 iron.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 8-9 iron. Yeah.
I don't think I ever hit a wedge to that right pin. I did pitching wedge that front left pin occasionally. I don't think I ever hit pitching wedge to that right pin.
Yeah. Okay. So now how about the galleries? Like, I know you were used to galleries, but they're a little different out there. But what was the crowds like different from out there than maybe a different tournament?
I would say for the most part, it's a very golf knowledgeable crowd. Some of our regular tournaments we go to, is golf is a little secondary to the party that's going on, which I get. I have no problem with. I don't care what fans do. They're there to have fun and enjoy it, as long as it's respectful. Sometimes it's not always respectful, but there's no messing around at Augusta, because they will chuck you They will literally throw you out of the off property, take the badge. And if you got your badge from a friend, that badge may probably never get, that person will probably never get a ticket again. If you act poor, they know who those badges belong to, their barcodes, and you cannot run at Augusta. I heard it so many times. There's no running at Augusta. People are like, oh, they stop and they start walking briskly.
Yeah, you're right. But speaking of running, and then we'll segue into the par 3. So one year I caddied for you in the par 3.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So, which was so exciting. Of course, I had a couple of beers on the golf course because that's what we do when we watch you, right? We have birdie beers. Dudley made a birdie, go get a beer, right? And they're so cheap at the Masters. So it was like so much fun. But anyway, it's not so much fun when you don't make a lot of birdies. Then we have to like, okay,
birdie.
Like, okay, it looked like it could have gone in, go get a beer. Right. so anyway, so I go and I was so excited. So I go and get the bib on. I have to go to the little caddy place, not the bib, like the whole overalls thing. And I have to catch up with you. I think I had your bag, right? I must've had your bag. Yeah. I must have. You wouldn't have carried your bag over there. So I had your bag. Now I'm walking to go to the par 3. That is wide. They have those spectators really far apart. Like that's like 60 yards wide, maybe or more. So I'm the only person in this alley walking to try and catch up with you on number 1 of the par 3. And you're waiting on me, right? Because it took me a couple minutes to get my overalls on, and I'm jogging and I just hear there's no running at the Masters. And I thought it was a spectator, right? And I'm like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Right. And it's dead quiet. It's dead ass quiet. Like I'm the only person. The minute that one person, that official yelled, it turned out to be an official, yelled, everybody got quiet. So I was the center stage of this just lined with people, big ass fairway, running to catch up with you. And I thought it was a joke. And so then I started jogging again and I hear it again and I'm looking around. I don't know who's saying it. And a couple officials just walked out of the crowd and just looked at me and did exactly what you said. There's no running at the Masters. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I'm in trouble, right? This is not good. So now I speed walked, I pushed it to the limit of actually getting air underneath my feet to catch up with you on the par 3. But yeah, I got reprimanded in front of thousands of people trying to catch up with you on the par 3. They take it very seriously out there.
They do. They have the rules and they definitely adhere to those rules.
Yeah. So let's talk about the par 3. So it was super fun caddying for you out there, but tell me what your mindset, there is like this little thing. If you win the par 3, you're never going to win the Masters kind of thing. Do you guys think about that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go into any par 3 trying to win. I was just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And, having fun with it and trying not to kill somebody at the same time, because if you remember correctly, the greens are relatively small, some of them, and there are people, like 2 feet off the green.
Yeah.
Like if you are corking somebody, because it's like 5 or granted, it's only wedges and stuff, but most of it maybe a 9-iron at the most sometimes. And it probably wouldn't hurt that bad, but I'm pretty sure you don't want to be getting hit from a wedge from 130 yards, even though it's coming down soft. It's still probably going to hurt.
Right. But the skipping it over the water thing is even riskier, because if you get a little too much air underneath it, you could really beam somebody.
Oh yeah, you're corking somebody in the shin hard.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So do you like the par 3, or does it feel like it's an obligation that you have to go out there and play it, or both?
No, I love it. It's a blast. I don't feel like it's an obligation. I mean, it is kind of an obligation. It's kind of crappy if you don't play in it. I think it's a blast. I mean, it's pretty low key. At least I treated it pretty low key. Having family friends caddy for me, having my kids caddy for me. The last year I played was, not to sound corny, but was probably the highlight of my golf. One of the highlights of my golfing career, because they don't really remember it. Unfortunately, they were like little, but having that picture is my screensaver on my phone.
Yeah, I'm going to share that picture with everybody. I think I have the same picture, but just so everybody knows, Dudley had triplets and 2 boys and a girl, and they, pardon me?
I still have them.
Oh yeah. Dudley, well, at the time, Dudley had triplets. Okay. So he still has the triplets. Now they're in college, But so they give him like these little itty bitty baby, like overalls. And it's so cute to watch them just walk along there like little ducklings walking behind him. And the picture that I have, you're with, I think, Briney Baird and his kid at that time. Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, that was super cute for them to go out and caddy. But did they do anything, or they just?
No, I think I gave them each like 2 or 3 clubs, because pretty much can narrow it down to 5 clubs playing over there. So they probably one of the more fun things about all my years at Augusta too. And I think it's softened up a little bit with this, but they were like literally running all over the place.
Yeah.
They were running through bunkers. They were running. And everybody, it was everywhere we went, especially when they were little, because they're the same size basically. And everyone looks, it's kind of like we were like a circus show. It took people like a minute or so and going, oh, are those triplets? And it's like, yes. And so everybody kind of knew they were triplets, and it was cute. And they were Briney Baird and I played, and his 2 kids and my kids and his kids were really good friends. And so we had 5 kids running through bunkers and doing all this stuff, and all the green coats, the members who have green jackets, and they're sitting around greens and tees just to kind of act official or whatever. And I could just see their skin crawling because they were running everywhere. And I was just, part of me, because I'm not a stuffy person, I kind of loved it, because but they couldn't yell at them because there were, 10,000 people around this little par 3 course. And they were all just laughing at this 3 little cute kid or 5 cute little kids in overalls, Masters caddy overalls, running all over the place. Right. And kind of got a lot of enjoyment out of that. I just,
they're over there having a heart attack, right? And like messing up the bunkers.
Yeah. And nowadays, the families, the kids, I think they've obviously softened a lot with what happens on that part of the golf course.
Yeah, for sure. Now, forever, the par 3, I'm just going to remember Tony Finau cracking his ankle in half.
Yeah, that was actually disturbing. I'm not really good.
I know. I like every time I see him running down, I'm like, oh my God, I can see the whole ankle going sideways. But anyway, okay, so let's talk about this year's Masters. Of course, all the talk is about Tiger coming back and playing, but who are your favorites going into this week, and what are your thoughts about Tiger?
I've told everybody that I've talked to about this, I would bet on him finishing the top 15.
Okay.
I don't know about winning, but I think he's going to play pretty damn good, and for a few reasons. One, obviously, nobody knows the place better than him. He's got a ton of positive memories to draw from, knows how to play the place, obviously. But if his wedges and his putting are fine, like just normal Tiger, not even elite normal Tiger, just average, he'll finish in the top 10 or 15.
Plus, he already won with a broken leg.
Yeah. So
right.
after an ankle and foot should be nothing.
Yeah, exactly. This is easy.
Yeah. So I'm pumped that I'm actually more excited to watch it now. I usually don't watch much till maybe a little bit Saturday, and then definitely watch a bunch Sunday, unless one of my buddies is doing real well. But I'm looking forward to watching this year, and I expect him to play pretty good, because he just wouldn't be there if he didn't think he can compete. If he didn't think his game and his body were in the right spot, he wouldn't go just to play. He doesn't care about that. Never has. Like me, on the other hand, I'd be there, and just if I knew I wasn't going to break 80 because my back was crap, I'm going to play and try to finish, and just to play, because I've only done it 5 times. He does it every year, so I would do it. But yeah, he on the other hand is not playing if he doesn't think he has a chance to win. So
who do you think is going to be in the top 5? Okay, I mean, I know you can't predict it, but who would be your favorite? I don't know if
I'm a big Jordan Spieth fan. Hoping, obviously he's had success there too, and I'm hoping he gets playing pretty solid and gets just because he's such a classy kid that does everything the right way, and big fan of his. So, my heart is rooting for him along with some other guys, but I think I'd kind of go with him, and I think Justin Thomas is going to play real well too. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Justin Thomas, and then I just think he's going. Pardon me? Sorry. Even though he's a Alabama guy, but yeah, so I'm rooting for Justin Thomas, and also because he is an Alabama guy. But yeah, he's just playing really well. I like where his head's at right now. It seems like he's in a really good spot. And what are your thoughts about Scotty Scheffler? Well, he's obviously on a heater. He's been playing well a lot lately. Hard to say anything negative about his golf game right now. I just think until you've actually been under the gun and done it at Augusta, it's pretty hard to do it. You know what I mean? To close it out. I wouldn't bet against the kid, but but he's just not one of my. I think he's got to get in there and get his feet wet a time or two before you're super comfortable winning. Just
okay, so that's a no on Scotty Scheffler from Dudley, just for the record. You're trying to be.
Yeah, top 10, maybe not a win.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your experience at the Masters. It was always fun going out there and watching. Actually, that's a lie. Watching you sucks because you're just, I mean, it's fun to be out at the Masters, but you're just, as you know, now as a spectator, right? It's hard to watch people that you care about because you're rooting for them and you don't like to see them struggling out there. So watching can suck, but unless you're making lots of birdies, then it's way more fun.
Yeah.
But no, it was always fun going out to the Masters. I appreciate you sharing your story with people who listen to my podcast. So thank you for coming on again. That's 3 times I've had you in like the last 4 weeks. So we'll take like a break for like a year. Okay.
Yeah. Next time, maybe you can put me on the payroll now if it starts.
Okay. No, negative on that, Ghost Rider. All right. Thanks, Doug.
All right, Kathy, bet. Take care.
Bye. All right, there you have it. So I hope you enjoy Masters Week as much as I do. On Sunday, you will know that I will be glued to that television. If I can help you in any way or you want to find out more about what I do, go to kathyhartwood.com. Have a great weekend.